Okay, I believe everyone is here. I think semua orang dah ada kat sini. I think we can start with the webinar right now. So before we begin, Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi. Welcome to Statworks webinar in regards to HCL Volt MX, which is our partner that we are partnership with HCL to provide to our clients or future customers a low code platform to develop either your mobile app, your PWAs or progressive web applications, or any other sort of interface for your devices, so to say. So before I begin this, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Ammar. I am the IT executive here in Statworks, with experience in mostly data engineering and creating data pipelines, as well as developing various types of applications. But previously, my focuses was only on using like actual coding, so Kotlin, a little bit of Swift, and then C# as well. But with this Volt MX, it truly enough, after using it for a couple of times, it proves to be very beneficial for me and for my company as well, which I will get into exactly what and how this is. Okay. So without further ado, I'll begin with my presentation. So what is low code, or in a way, why low code? So at this current state in the market right now, there has been a demand, especially as after the pandemic. Everything needs to be digitalized, right? There's less and less demand for everything needs to be manual. People are relying on shopping apps, on meeting apps, just to connect with each other, just to get through part of their daily lives in a way. So digital transformation right now is becoming a boom. It's becoming like the norm and the requirement for clients nowadays. So with that said, sometimes the demand can't keep up with the supply itself, because when so many people are asking for digital transformation, and because traditional coding takes a lot of time to develop, sometimes it could be 1 to 2 years of development. So it can't keep up with the demand that is growing exponentially with this. So
usually 12 October. Yeah. 12 October lah.
Sorry, can you mute? Sorry.
One month notice, right?
Okay.
But then
so,
I request for
1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So, okay, back to my presentation just now. So a lot of organizations right now are struggling to keep up with this demand, because when you have so many people, part of their clients or their customers, who are looking to digitalize their existing system, right? They struggle with this. One thing, it's difficult for them to maintain legacy system. You can have system that is running on, like, say, very old technology, maybe even using like mainframe technologies. So for you to transfer this into, let's say, nowadays, if you need to develop this to fit into your existing mainframe technologies, it would be very, very difficult for you to do this, right? And on top of that, there is a shortage of skilled developer. What this means is that we ourselves as a company are also struggling to find qualified developers who has maybe like number of years of experience in order for us to hire to get to get them to build the kind of app that we need, right? So for example, we could be having like before the existence of like Shopee or Lazada, say for example, you would need someone skilled enough to develop an e-commerce app, right? To promote your products, to also handles the requests that it's receiving from various users. At the same time, also manage to have everything in a more beautiful interface in a way. So you tak nak lah, we don't want to go into a situation where people would go into your app and then see whether, oh, kenapa this app is like running so slow? Why is this not updating enough? Why is it, you know, there are certain things that traditional coding struggles with. And this is where low coding such as Bolt MX here can be beneficial for users. And then with a lot of digital transformation and digital connectivity going around in the world, there is also an increasing numbers of digital threats, right? You can have scammers calling you left and right. You can have phishing from like your emails, from SMSs, or you can get credit card frauds from all around the world. So it's because the growing digital transformation is increasing exponentially. So we see this as a threat, because for you to develop an app using traditional methods, right, using coding, and then to enforce certain security part of it into your app can be very time consuming, right? You would need to hire a lot of people to review your codes. You would need to do various tests, penetration tests, any other type of testing, just to ensure that your app is completely isolated, or at least completely protected from any kind of intrusions or threats from the outside, right? And then last but not least, because you're running, let's say if you're running like 2 to 3 apps at the same time as a company, you will have this growing numbers of records, logs of backlogs from your application, which you would need someone to go over it. If you were the person who runs Shopee, just imagine the number of transactions that's happened in seconds. And then to put that into perspective, if you were running like multiple companies' applications, you will run into an issue where one company was using platform A, the other company might be using like a different platform B. So making someone to understand all of this backlogs is somewhat difficult, right? So as stated here by Gartner as well, by 2026, 3 out of 4 enterprises will be using multiple experience development platform to build digital product. What this means is that MX platforms such as Bolt will likely be the quote unquote choice of development platform for enterprises. Why? Because I would say because the learning curve, as opposed to, you know, learning Java, Kotlin, Swift, Objective-C and all that, is far more easier for new programmers to get into, right? There's no need, dah tak ada keperluan for, I wouldn't say tak ada, but there's lesser keperluan for you to have developers who have like 10, 15 years of experience just for you to develop a very quality app with UI and UX considered into, right? With Volt MX, everything is there. Everything has been designed for you. It's just a matter of dragging and drop into your app design that fits with your requirement in a way. So low-code app development will be responsible for more than 65% of app dev activities by 2024, which is a lot to say, because with the growing numbers of programming languages nowadays, businesses especially are looking at other ways of approaching this issue. How do we get qualified developers? How do we get qualified testers for those developed apps? So we can't be waiting for people to, build their skills up to like acceptable level, maybe like 4 or 5 years down the line in programming, in order for us to hire them. Might as well we take in like a low code platform such as VoltMX and have regular business users, train them how to use this in order for them to develop themselves the app that they require. So in a way. Okay. So what is VoltMX? So as I said, VoltMX is the low-code platform. It's the industry-leading low-code platform for delivering beautiful apps in all various types of devices. We are talking about native apps, so app that is specifically designed just for Androids, or apps that are specifically designed just to work on iOSs. We are talking about PWAs, progressive web application. These are the types of web design websites that you see that you can just that have the necessary UI, UX design into it. And on top of that, if you were to open this on like various devices, like a tablet, your phones, it would scale depending on that, basically. And then you also have for wearables. So what VoltMX is offering to you is that from a single platform, right? From a single work or project that you've developed, you can have everything built for native PWAs as well as wearables using the single code that you have developed, right? Later on, my colleague will show the interface itself for VoltMX, and you can see that just by drag and dropping a few things on designing PWAs and whatnot, you can have an app ready within like minutes, I would say, right? So which brings into the second key point, which is to deliver businesses solutions in weeks rather than months. So as I mentioned, traditional coding takes months, if not years, to develop, right? Like in the case of Shopee, when they started, comparing how they started, how it looks like back then, and to how it looks like nowadays, it is a complete difference between like day and night, I would say, right? So because of this, the reason for this is that development takes a lot of times, traditional developments, right? And with the growing numbers of demand, with everyone looking for developers as well, sometimes your progress can vary. Like if you have 10 developers versus if you have 2, then developing the same app can take a couple of months for the team of 10 developers, but then maybe it takes like 2 years for the 2 developers to develop the similar thing. So by having VoltMX, this is what it caters to solve to. And lastly, with its rich integration capabilities and multiple types of connectors, you can have any types of data sources connected to VoltMX within minutes as well. They have built-in connectors for different kinds of SAP, for different kinds of SQL databases, different kinds of NoSQL, such as MongoDB, as well as additional features like AI, AR, and VR, and so much more. You can have everything ready within just a few clicks here and there within the interface itself. So with Volt, you can build beautiful apps and within the time frame that you have allocated, right? So as I said before, you build once, and then you can have the app ready for multiple devices all at once. So from the app that you have developed for natives, you can transfer it to PWAs as well as use it as like a template for your wearables or maybe other shapes and formats of devices that you might have for tablets and so on. So, and you can have this within the single platform. You don't have to go into like a different application to convert it into one types of software, one types of application, which is native, and then have it converted into PWAs. No, everything is being done from a single platform, which will show you after this. Next is to have integration without limits. What this means is that with all the connectors that Volt has prepared for developers, you can cut off time in developing set connectors, based on my experience itself, sometimes connecting to various data sources takes time. You will have to run a lot of test scripts to connect maybe to, let's say, a Hadoop database, or maybe to a different kind of SQL databases that is like just newly introduced. So these kind of things are all being taken care of Volt themselves, right? It's just a matter of specifying the credential itself for you to connect, and you are on your way to connect to those various databases. So right, it removes the backend, like as well as it removes the backend complexity that you don't need developers to be spending time to develop the APIs that is required to connect all these different data sources as well. And lastly, innovative interactions and meaningful engagement is that with Volt MX, the templates, the drag and drop feel and everything that you've designed, it's all very fluid. UI and UX are being like a core business for Volt MX. So they value these interactions. They want to make sure that all the interactions that you do onto the app itself is fluid and in a way not difficult for anyone to be using it. And as well as integration with other various things, like I mentioned, VR, AR, as well as like NLP engines is also doable in Volt MX, right? Then we'll come next to the platform overview itself. So where I will explain what is the architecture look of Volt MX. And then maybe I'll just jump onto the demo itself for us to see how it works and whatnot. Before I continue, is there any questions? All right. If there is any question, you can go ahead and just stop me, or either that just send out your questions to the chat if needed to. All right, so this is the look of the Volt MX platform in terms of architecture. So at the top here is where you have the quote unquote the platform, right? So you can have mobile wearables, even laptops, which is in the sense we're saying about for browsers, desktop IoTs, tablet kiosks, chatbots. You can build any of these types of devices just through Volt MX platform. So what Volt MX consists of, right? You have Iris as part of the platform. Iris, in a way, it's like your IDE for Volt MX. This is where you do most of the development work, where you will see all the buttons that are available, the kind of graphs or whatever elements that you want to use for your app. It's all here in Iris. So you design everything, you design the storyboard, you design the flow, you design the functions and everything, even up to the level of if you need to do custom coding itself, can be done through Iris, right? So this is the bread and butter for the developers basically to develop. Next, you have Foundry. Now, Foundry is quote unquote is our integration engine. So when you're trying to integrate with various other applications, right? Say, for example, Salesforce, or you're trying to integrate with your business's data warehouse. So this is your tool. In order for your app to communicate with any types of databases that I mentioned before, it has to go through Foundry. right? You have to configure everything to Foundry, then only Iris, from Iris, it reads that information that was given to Foundry as a connection to that set backend. So that's essentially what Foundry is. It's essentially just the integration center for all VoltMX related. And then with everything, essentially it's being developed using VoltMX own proprietary language called Flare. But what Flare does is that once you've finished with your design, you finish with your storyboard and everything, VoltMX itself will convert that Flare into proprietary native applications. So if you were developing something for iOSs, then it would convert everything into Objective-C or Swift. If you were developing something for Android, then it would convert everything into Kotlin Java instead. So that way we can ensure that the app that will be running on this devices are fully compatible with all the functionalities that is within the devices itself. So yeah. And also you have DevOps and automated testing. So what this does is that you can have statistics, you can monitor your app development on top of seeing how users are using your app as well. What I mean by this is that you can monitor the usage, how your app is, whether it's behaving as what you intend it to do, whether how many how many users are currently using your app, are the functions for your app that you have developed, is it like behaving as what you intend it to do, and so on and so forth. And lastly, you can with that said, you can have your app hosted on VoltMX proprietary cloud hosting solution. So this is essentially similar to how Firebase from Google works. You can have your app hosted on VoltMX cloud, and that way everything is, in terms of firepower or anything, it will be, you can easily just manage that through the cloud hosting, right? And lastly, I want to say is the marketplace. So with the marketplace, with VoltMX, with the growing number of users from VoltMX, right? You can have, you can use or share templates that has been utilized by other people as well from the marketplace. On top of, there might be specific connectors that you are looking for. Maybe you're trying to connect to instead of like a traditional relational database, you're trying to connect to a big data types of database like Presto, DB, so and so. So typically what you're looking for, it's all available on the marketplace. If not, maybe the guys over at the HCL as themselves, if they don't have it, then it most likely will be someone else has already developed it and posted on the marketplace. So, and then down here, it's all the various types of things that you can connect to. You can connect to any ERP softwares, any types of cloud APIs, CRM, web services, and then various kinds of databases, whether relational or non-relational, as well as IoTs. And then just to give a very, very brief look of how Iris and Foundry looks like. So on your left and the left here is how Iris looks like. It's, like I said, this is the bread and butter for developers. This is the IDE or the app development portion of VoltMX. We will see more later on with the demo. Next, you have the Foundry, which is the integrations for various kinds of databases. As I said, there's Java, JavaScript, and then various types of SAP, even AWS S3 as well. You can connect to through Foundry itself. Right. So next, all right. So before we take you to the demo itself. What makes Volt MX special? So as I said, it's a single code-based development platform where you would only develop your application once and then generate the app itself, whether you want it native or PWAs or any other kinds of types of devices, all within a single code base. You don't have to think about hiring different kind of developers for different devices, right? As opposed to traditional coding where for a single app, you need to have a Android developer, where you also need to have a web developer. At the same time, you also need to have a iOS developer. So with Volt MX, everything is centralized. Everything is from a single code base in a way, right? And then you have the nicest thing is that you have the integration built in. This is one of the key things about Volt MX, where with traditional coding, all the connectors that you need to connect to various databases, they have to be built in. They have to be built from scratch, from the ground up, basically. But with Volt, everything is prepared for you. It's just a matter of configuring the credentials for those connectors that you are trying to use, and you are on your way to connect to those data sources. Other than that, you are developing native mobile apps. So compatibility for your apps is absolutely ensured by using Volt MX, because they're not using a different, let's say, framework to develop to develop mobile apps. It's once everything has been compiled, you are sending those package those apps as native applications, so you can ensure that compatibility won't be an issue for the apps being developed in Volt MX. As well as in terms of progressive web apps, you can have faster developments, and as well as works for various types of devices. All right, these are just some of the case studies. For examples, Michaels, this is a arts and crafts company in the US, where at the start of the pandemic, they started to develop their own app for their business, e-commerce in a way. So stated here is that within the first couple of months, they have up to like 2 million active users currently monthly, with 60% opt-in for push-ins, more than 1 billion notifications sent with targeted offers for Black Fridays and whatnot. So these are the stats. The key things here is that with Volt MX, because it's running as a native app, you can ensure that even with like millions of customers, right, the app will run smoothly without any issues. And the capability of for you to monitor your app as well performance-wise is also crucial for the people in Michaels, because that way they know whether the app is behaving nicely or not. So, right, you can find the app from the Apple App Store, I believe, right now, called Michaels. This is another case study from HCL's that's using Volt MX as their application, which is called Lavaza. So in this case, they streamlined the process and increased employee efficiency, and it only took them 12 weeks to develop this app. Okay. So yeah, lastly, this is just the kind of services that Volt MX provide. With Volt MX, we can either build the app for you, or we can help you with your businesses and teach them how to use Volt MX, and then they can pick it up and build their own, basically, from there. So after this, we'll move on to the demo itself. My colleague, Mr. Akram, will take over from this. Right? Before we move over to the demo, is there any questions from the participants? If not, then I'll pass over to Mr. Akram for the demo. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ammar, for your explanation. Okay, I will start now to show you how the IDA or the development environment looks like. Just a minute. Let's see. Yeah. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, so this is the IDA or the development environment, which can be installed either in Microsoft Windows or Macintosh, or yeah, you can build your application using this environment. So you can see here the storyboard. You can see everything about your application, from the workflow of the application itself between the screens to design each screen individually, and to create a screen here in Volt MX. It's easy. Just you have to go either to the top. Here you can find the multiple platform, which is like either mobile or tablets or wearables. So you can see all the screens here. Just a minute, I'm having an issue with the mouse itself. Okay, you can see here, this is how the application will look like in a tablet. And you can see here also how the application itself, it will look like in the mobile. So you can develop your application from here for every kind of platform, from mobile to tablet to responsible web application to wearables and kiosks. So here we will focus today on mobile screen. And after that, you can add the templates, and you can deploy the screen itself and the component to any kind of platform you want. But for today, we'll be focusing on how the mobile application will look like and how we can develop like a single application with a login feature. So as I told you, here you can see the workflow between the screens, and which screen is the home page, which screen is the how the screen will go. And after that, you can go to design here, the storyboard, the design. You can change the layout itself if you want a table, how the flow goes in the tablets, and also in the desktop and watch and so on. So we'll go to the design. Here, the design where I can like edit and custom everything inside my form or my screen, just by dragging and dropping the components from either here, the left side. You can see at the left side, I have already built in pre-configured widgets, from buttons to calendars to images. So I can just drag the button, and you can see it will show here just before I can add button. Let us like put it inside a container. Let us add a new form. So this is a new form or a new screen. You can see here, it's just by clicking and adding the screen, you creating a new screen. And here I can add whatever I want from buttons, and they can customize the containers. So to customize and to adjust your layout, you can see here something called priorities. You can come here and you can customize everything on the screen from here, from the look and the size of each component to the skin and how what color you want to use, what the background, the border, the shadows, everything. Also here, if you want to add or import images to make them as a background or icons, to add icons to your application, you just import it from here. And also the flex for each container. So the containers itself, it's better to add your components inside the containers. So you can adjust everything and it will be like in order. So it will not see now if I want to adjust the container, it will adjust everything inside it as well. So, and also the great thing about VaultMX that it has its own themes, pre-built themes, which you can use it instead of doing the whole design. I can just delete this one and try to add a new login screen. See, these are screens already built by VaultMX. You can just click and drag and drop the screen itself to the screen, and you can use it directly without designing or configuring anything inside it. So now I will be using this this login to test. But first, before I do this, let us come and create a new project. See, you can create either an application for native application and use it for either mobile or tablet, and also you can use it for web application, and also you can use a progressive web. And there is an option to use the samples application, which is already built in by VaultMX and VaultMX community. So I'll just use as one of these samples exists, and there is many use cases. You can see all use cases here when you browse Forgo. But for now, I'll use the first one, which is like an employee directory. It is a native application, which you can use it, as I told you, for either mobile or tablet. I'll choose this one. So now to import the application from the market. You can see here, it will take a little bit of time. So this is mainly the IDA and the development environment, and you can also go to Foundry, which is the middleware services platform that you need to connect your application to any kind of back-end systems. You can either go to the Foundry from here. You can see this icon, or you can go through it from the browser itself. So there is two kind of Foundry. There is the option that you host the Foundry itself inside the VaultMX cloud, or you can install it on premise to monitor your application and see everything from the integration to the development process of your application. So first of all, this is the template that we use. This is an application for employee dictionaries, where you can log into the application and then see employees' details. So it's already pre-configured, so even the identity or the identity services or the authentication services already built in and pre-configured, because I'm using like an existing application. So from here, when we go to design, as I said before, you can see here the properties, and beside properties, you can see data services. So data services here to connect your application to any kind of back-end systems. Here it comes the Foundry component, where you can access Foundry from here directly. Either you can use the existing services if you already built like or reconfigured, or add any kind of integration or service adapters. If you already have one, you can access from here, access it from here. And if you want to create a new one, a new connection, you can just click on the configuration. And here you can see all types of connectors you can use. So you can connect your application either to authentication or identity services, which we already said about, like you can connect to LDAP, Microsoft Directory, either LDAP or Azure Active Directory, or you can connect your, use the Google authentication methods. So for the user to have multiple option of login, instead of him creating a user and go all to all this trouble, that they can just easily log in using, if they have an account in Google or in Facebook or LinkedIn, or they can use the this authentication method to access the application. And you can easily link it just by clicking on the adapter here. So here, just to add a name for the service, either LDAP or LDAP test, and I can choose which type of identity. We already chosen Microsoft Active Directory. So here in the authentication mode, I can choose what kind of Active Directory thing I want to integrate to, either LDAP or like Azure Active Directory. So just by clicking here, I just need to add the URL and the domain name and some other like accessing details, and that's it. You can test the login and save, and you will be creating an integration to your LDAP or to your authentication method. But for now, we don't have like any Active Directory available right now to integrate to. So I will be using the Active Directory, the Vault MX identity services. I can use this one. I already create this one. So you can see here the login and the log out. And also you can integrate your application to any kind of database. So from MongoDB to any of the relational databases, which is like from MySQL or SQL Server or MariaDB, or I can also import XML files. I can integrate also to any data storage we have available here, any subsystem. So this Foundry services, I can also see them by clicking here on Vault Foundry to see more options on this. So here is the Vault MX Foundry. You can see here first, if you have any authentication services available, you can see them here. You can monitor the user by click here and see how many users you have. For now, I created only one user. So if you have multiple users, you can see them here, and you can edit the user, create groups, monitor everything regarding users and authentication from here. If you use the identity services, which is like built inside Vault MX, or if you configure a new or an external authentication services, you can also see them here and monitor them. So if I want to configure, either I will use the one I showed you earlier, or I can configure a new one from here. Just click configure new, write the name of the service I need, and just choose Microsoft, Yahoo, Amazon, LinkedIn, so and also Facebook. And this also keeps updating through regularly. You can see something added here regarding either the integration adapters or the identity services adapters. So here is regarding to the entity services. We'll go to the integration. Yeah, as you see here, this is already built by me to get the images. This is like integrate and fetch a JSON type of files. So I can configure a new kind of connection by adding from here, add new services. So for this, I will try to link to show you how can I like integrate my system to MySQL like databases. So let us here create a new one. I will call it test DB1. I will choose here relational database. So here you can, as I told you, link it to any of the common system. And also you can integrate or create your own file storage using the SaaS services, which Vault MX like provide and hosted inside Vault MX. Or if you have like an OS S3, you can use this one. But for right now, I will you integrate this to MySQL database. I already created like one example table. This is the credential. So here, I will choose what kind of relational database. You can also connect to Oracle, PostgreSQL and MySQL. I will choose MySQL and I will add the URL, database URL, and the username and password. So by traditional coding, instead of creating the whole the integration using code, and it will take too much time to create this. It's not that easy to create the connection between your application and services. Here in VaultMX, you just have to input the details and URLs of your database and test the connection and save it, and that's it. And you can use it in your application. So I'll test. So you can see here that the connection is successful. Now I will come down and save and add an operation. So now I establish a connection between my application and the database, which I created. Now I will need to add an operation. We have here multiple operations from get to delete to, so I will be adding the get method to fetch the data from my database to use it inside my application. Just a minute. So the unique thing here and the unique thing about VaultMX that it provides you this kind of service, which is like, let me see. Yeah, it took some time because I'm using, let me refresh. I'm using a free database hosting services, so it is like slow. So here I need to add an operation. I need to choose, this is the name of my database on the system. I will choose one of the table, which I have one table called Negri to fetch the information inside it. So I have these four operations. I will use like get and add the operation. If I want to get and delete and update, I can use them as well. But for now, for this one, I just will set up get. So you can see here that the operation has been added here. I can test the connection and fetch some data by saving and to see what kind of data I will be receiving. The data will come as a JSON file, JSON format. So here the call and response I get from the database. This is the data which is inside my database, MySQL database. So now everything is done. Just save the operation. Okay, now the operation has been saved. I go cancel. I will go here. So I will add the integration I created right now, the connection I created right now. But before I create the connection, I will try to run this application to show you. This is like a pre-built use case by VoltMX. They already created this one. So if I need like some kind of detail about my employees, I will use their own, the already built-in templates and just customize it to my database. So for now, I will try to run this application to show you how the application will look like. So from here, you can see build. I can live review my application either as a native, if I'm connecting to either an Android mobile or an Android tablets or iOS. If I have one and I'm connecting it to my PC or my laptop using USB, I can run it directly by like checking this and save and run, and it will be uploaded to my phone directly. But for now, because I'm not connecting to anything, I will use the adaptive web. So the adaptive web, it is like to show you without using any, it's like a emulator in the web browser to show you your application. But there is some features when it comes to GDS and these kind of things, camera, you need to have your phone connected, or you need to link your VoltMX to Android Studio emulator to use these kind of like features, because here in the web adapter, you can only just see your screens and the interaction between screens. Like, but when it comes to using the features, the camera or the GDS or any kind of these features, you have to either upload it to an existing phone, a native phone, or you can use the Android Studio emulator to see your application. So it will take time now to compile and to build your application, to convert your the codes to a native code. As my colleague Ammar said before, that VoltMX using Flyer, which is like a code used to create the templates and the widgets, and for you to use it inside your phone and inside your tablets, you have to convert the files first to a native code to see or to run the applications. So it might take a little bit of time. So if anyone have a question, just ask. I think we already passed 1 hour, but we will like try to continue to showcase this example and how the integration will go. And after that, if any one of you want like to dig deep into this application and they want like another demo about the features, because there is a lot of features inside the VoltMX. If they want like an extended demo, they can request it, and we will be happy to like show demo of how the integration will go, and how you can create the screens and deploy the screens to the other platforms. Either you can create the screens as a template screens and then deploy it for others, and then publish your application. So all of these take times to create and to showcase. And if any one of you like want to these things, they can request it, and we will be happy to. Let me check my internet connection. Okay, it's finished. See here, this is the login, which already built in by VaultMX. I already added a user called Akram. So you can see the application screen, right? Okay, now we'll sign in. Say after you sign in, or go directly to your application. It took me like minutes to create this application using VaultMX, and I can like create if I want menu or header, or if I want to change this one, or if I want to add an event for each component here or each button here, I can do it easily, like as a clicks or drag and drops. So I'll go to Alex here, and I can see the information about Alex. So this kind of data, it's stored inside VaultMX and already built in the configuration between the application and the VaultMX cloud. As you can see it here, I can customize it. I can run it in any kind of platform or screens, but it might take time to change the screen. So for now, I can also debug the application itself. So as you said here, as you see here, this is like a simple application where you can use it as a base for your application. You can upload this application. If you are finished this application, you can upload it to the server, the VaultMX cloud, and also let other people go to this application. If you are hosting the application in your Foundry and installed your Foundry in on-premise, you can use the ID, your like on-premise ID, to share the application as a test run. And you also can publish your application and upload it directly to either App Store or Apple Store. So from here, I can build the application itself. The first one was like to preview. This is to publish my application to App Store if I want to App Store. If I want to run the application on my device, actual device, or any emulator, as I told you, Android emulator, I can use here. I can specify the application, and so. But because I don't have any device or emulator, I can use this one, and I can use the build mode. I can choose either test or release. If I'm done with testing, I go to release and release the application and upload it directly to Apple or App Store. Or I can generate the native app and upload the application by myself. See, now we'll go here to show you how I can add the connection I created to my MySQL. I will go to integration. See, this is the test database I create. I have to refresh. Let me refresh because it's still not showing. So this is the test DB I created, already shown here. So I create a get call. Which you can see here. This is the table, and these are the columns exist inside the table. So if I want to create a screen, either I create a screen and add this to the screen itself, or I can drag and drop the get call here, and it will create it, will be created automatically using, let's see. Let me first add a form and just drag and drop this one to here. And it will ask me if I want a list or a details of the tables I create. So I will use a list for now. So you can see here everything created here. So this is how to integrate your application to your database without any coding. I didn't code anything, just drag and drop and choose. So, and also, as I told you, for the screen itself, you can use any of the configured template from menus, footer menus. If I want a details view, I have multiple details view. I can use any of these screen just by dragging and dropping inside the screen I create, and you can see, you can use this and customize it on the thing that you want. So for now, I think that's it. Anyone have a question? Because we already passed the hour. Okay, now I will forward you back to Mr. Ammar to continue this demo and finalize the demo. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, just drop us an email. And if you want a request to build a specific application, also drop us an email of the application specification that you want, and we can create the application and show you a demo specifically about the thing that you want. Thank you very much. I'll stop sharing right now.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Akram, for that very informative demo on Volt Ammar itself. So this will conclude our webinar. So should you have any questions or concern, you can contact us through the following emails and phones. Then maybe, like Mr. Akram has said, we can set up maybe sort of like a demo that is specific towards your field, your businesses, and we can work something out. So thank you again for attending this webinar, and hopefully we would be in contact with you guys in the near future to work on something. Thank you so much, everyone.